This episode, The Council of the First Ones, was recorded on October 18th, 2020.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Council of the First Ones. I'm your host, Kelly, from Nerds on the Couch. Joining me today, I have Dave from adultcollector.org. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Kelly. Yeah, it's nice and wet, normal fall, wet weather in here in Seattle. It's great to be here.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Also joining us, we have Shawn. Hey, Shawn.
Hi. Good to be back. I had the Monster Mash going through my head all afternoon, so you can see where my mind is since it's October. So I literally was in the car driving my kids around singing the Monster Mash, and my daughter going, the Monster Mash, in the backseat. I'm like, this is great. I love it. So
Nice.
Yeah.
No, I was getting my Frankenberry and blueberry cereal.
Nice.
You know
Nice.
it's October when that comes out.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a good time of the year. I was on Vudu buying up old monster movies this weekend too, so
cool.
looking forward to that. They're gonna watch some Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, and all that good stuff. So
Nice.
yeah.
But, Shawn, I have to wish you a belated happy birthday.
Yeah.
Well,
Happy birthday.
Here's a little funny thing for the listeners. They got to wish me a happy birthday last week, but unfortunately, we had a little technical error. So here we are again this week. But thank you, and happy birthday to you as well, Kelly, because I know you're an October baby too. So.
Well, let me bring in our last guest before we say who the third birthday baby is, as if we don't know. But I would like to welcome Joe from Fans of Power. Hey, Joe.
What the heck's going on? How you guys doing? This is great. I'm good, I tell you.
A long time since we've talked.
Yeah, it's been a while. But I'm glad you guys are all safe and everything through these times. So glad everybody's healthy.
Well, like I said, we did have a third birthday anniversary, I guess you would say. October 1st did mark the 38th year of Masters of the Universe at retail.
Yay!
Happy birthday, He-Man.
So we do have to send out our birthday wishes to the man of the hour. But we also had, and he definitely got all the gifts this year.
The voice actor for He-Man. Yeah.
But he did get the franchise got a lot of gifts.
That's right.
And we're the ones who benefit. We know that Snake Mountain's on its way to us over the next couple of months. They will be shipping from Super 7. Please note, these are huge boxes. Only 81 can fit in a shipping cargo container at a time. And cargo containers are huge. So that's the first gift we're getting. And I know some people did receive shipping notices, so keep your eyes open because we'll be seeing people posting Snake Mountain and how we got it into the house videos soon.
There's going to be some interesting unboxing videos.
Yeah.
I mean, that box, I can't even figure out how to get it in my front door.
Yeah. Well, and it's important to note that this is going to be shipped in 4 waves. And so if you are like me and you ordered from Entertainment Earth, your shipment's going to be in January.
Well, just in time for you to put away your Christmas decorations so you have room in the house.
There you go. Yeah.
So it was a little smart on their part on that. But Factory Entertainment is following up the theme of evil with Skeletor's Havoc Staff at a 1-to-1 scale ratio, measuring over 6 feet in height. All metal. Pre-orders are going on right now, where you leave a $50 deposit and then the rest will be due when it comes in 2021. They're predicting November. They do have payment plans set up. Early bird special is under $500. That is good until Halloween. After that, it jumps up to $540. Anyone buying multiple staffs here to go with your
if I sell a kidney, I could do that, but otherwise, no, I can't do it. But it looks great.
Yeah, a few people's kidneys.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly.
I mean, somebody posted a picture from one of those Halloween costume stores the other day, and it was this skull that looked just exactly like the skull for the Skeletor staff, and it was very cheap. I think it was like $10 or something. And so, if you it's a very beautiful staff that's being offered, but for $500, it's.
I better perform some real magic for $500.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is the first of a series. The next one is supposed to be the Sword of Power.
I mean, they are great, though. Like you said, if you can't afford them, of course, yeah, definitely you can get them. But, I mean, yes, they're pricey, but there's a lot of things out there that's pricey. But, heck, if you got the money, I'd say go for it.
Yeah,
and these are the first officially licensed Masters of the Universe props.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that they're doing it because, like, there's been how many other brands that have been able to do this over the years, and I feel like we've been lacking in that department, except that, you have like the Spirit Halloween store, the foam swords, basically, which I have those at home, and my kids beat the living snot out of each other with them. But beyond that, if they, like you said, they're coming out with the power sword, that one has my attention, and depending on the price point on that, and if I could do payment plans, I might be interested in that. I'm not going to lie. But the Havoc Staff, yeah, it's like that one to me is you could cobble that together for probably $25 compared to $500 and make that work. But the power sword is one of those pieces where that would be worth the money in my mind. But it is cool they're doing this. I do think it's really cool.
We're still continuing on with Skeletor. Those who were fortunate enough to know about Mattel Creations were able to pre-order a see-through Skeletor. He sold out in about 4 days for the pre-sales. Did anyone manage to get one?
Yeah, I ordered one. I was kind of turned off by the price point of the prints. It was like $75.
Yeah, $75 for the schematic.
Right.
Because I know I wanted to get two, and I was waiting for a payday. Unfortunately, they sold out before I could, but I did order the schematic.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and the $50 for the see-through, the translucent Skeletor figure. It's not colored at all. It's just completely, I'm not going to say white. It's like, see-through, like he's invisible. Yeah, so, it's kind of a neat offering, sort of like he's playing around with that helmet of invisibility he had in the cartoon.
I messed around with it and I can't be normal.
Right.
I will say this, all of the clear toys that were being offered on Mattel Creations sold out in 4 days. The Barbie, the Hot Wheels, the Magic 8 Ball, all of them are gone. I think we have to keep an eye on the site.
I'm curious how many of those see-through Skeletors were made, because that's exactly the kind of thing that scalpers would buy up, and for it to be on there for 4 days when the Origins pre-orders we've seen have sold out instantly all year long.
You're right.
Pretty much.
I am wondering, yeah, right. I wonder how many were made. It's because I've seen in multiple groups, the thing was people would say, hey, pretty cool. But when they seen the price of $50, so many people said, man, $50. They were like wanting to do it, but they said 50, can't do it. Right. So I think that did turn off a lot of the people that were instantly wanting to jump on, like you said, if there could have been scalpers or just anybody that won in general, would have said, bam, if that was 15, like the stores, boom. But 50, I've seen so many people say, I can't pull the trigger. But, yeah. I mean, it's good. It's still sold out, either way.
Mm-hmm.
I think a big turnoff was that they were doing the Origins Skeletor. I know that's the tooling they have available right now. And when you see, okay, I can get a colored plastic for $15 a Skeletor versus clear for $50. What's wrong with this?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it was the Four Horsemen sculpt, it would have sold out in minutes.
Mm-hmm. Well, did they set up the site differently so that it makes it harder for scalpers to be able to get these, and that's why it took as long as it did? Okay, because I didn't even jump in to try to get one, but that's kind of cool that they're going that direction too. Like I know NECA was also in that bind recently, and they were trying to fix it with the scalping for the Ninja Turtles figures and stuff. So kudos to them for doing that too, because that is
every order was limited to no more than 2. You couldn't even use the same credit card on multiple orders.
Well, that's good. And I mean, it's like between those kind of things happening, plus hearing Target and Walmart exclusives for collectors this year, it's like you just want to turn everybody off, basically, if you're not trying to solve that problem of the bots and the scalpers and everything. So at least they found a way to give it a halt it somewhat, slow them down. Yeah, so that's great.
And
I mean, the only thing I hope is that Mattel will have them numbered, but from watching all of Scott Knightlick's videos, Mattel does not number their collector items. They keep that as internal.
I'm kind of curious what the packaging is going to look like. Is it just going to be Origins packaging, or are they going to have a special box that, where it's kind of like black and white and it says Mattel Creations on it or something like that?
They're gonna send it in a clear bag to go with the clear figures.
I honestly was thinking that too, or they're just gonna send it in just a bubble mailer.
Yeah.
Be like, well, the packaging's there. You just gotta see it.
That's right.
Wait, I heard that they're letting Digital River handle the shipping.
Oh man! So that means anybody who bought it isn't going to get it. It's all the people on the classics list. They're going to send it out to all those people.
I would instantly consider that a joke if it wasn't 2020.
Well,
this is the worst year to bring up anything like that right about now. Yeah. Okay. I'll stop. I promise.
Don't give them ideas.
Yeah, exactly. My fault.
Well, we'll keep on the little things right now before we get to the big gift that we received. We also heard from Mondo. They're releasing some puzzles for us. So if you like putting things together and you're already done with your Point Dread and your Roton and your Castle Grayskull and the Mega Blocks, now Mondo has puzzles for you to put together of both He-Man and Skeletor.
Pretty cool. What are the prices on those? Maybe they didn't have the prices available yet. Or I don't know.
Actually, they're not that bad. They're only $20.
Okay, at least that's
not bad.
That's good. I mean, see, you're dealing with somebody real cheap here. I got to eat ramen noodles and save up just to get $15 figures. I got people sending me candy in the mail. I won't say who, but he's giving me a sugar rush, and I appreciate it. I want to thank this person for sending me a box of chocolates. So, thanks. David.
You're welcome.
He was cool. I appreciate that, man. That was pretty cool, man. I was trying to save it one candy bar a day, and then I had a sugar rush where I went through them pretty quick some days. So, but I still got many things.
Yeah. My pleasure. I like the. It's not bad. It's a 1,000-piece puzzle. The artwork is okay, I think. Of course, it's depicting the Mondo action figures. Not the figures themselves, but artwork that's based on the design. I can think of about 50 other things I'd rather have a puzzle of in the realm of Masters of the Universe. But hey, I mean, it's much better than nothing.
No, and it is. And like I said, the price, it's not too bad. I'm just hoping that in the future, just to, put something out there, if they're going to try to do more puzzles, whether it's depicting it, based off of their figures or however it is, I'd love to see these characters in like more dynamic posing, because think of all the stuff we got from R.L. Allen back in the day for all those puzzles. I mean, it was like usually intensity, there was something going on, or a cool pose. And as of late, with some of the art I've been seeing, it just looks like they're sitting there posing for like, you know, a high school prom photo. It's like they're looking right at us. Something feels lifeless to some of these, but I can understand it's not meant to be anything grand. But just to put it out there, if any of these companies are going to put out some grand art, please make it look like they're engaged in battle and not just a pose, if you know what I mean, kind of that pose that's just
Well, that's something that I know when I was a kid, it made me buy a lot of that kind of stuff, like the puzzles, the activity books, because you were getting artwork that was not associated to anything else, and here was this new piece that you got by buying this thing.
Right.
So you know, it was like you found a treasure every time you went down the activity and coloring book aisle and the watercoloring aisle and all that stuff in like Hills or department stores and all that stuff. You'd be like, here's a new Masters cover. Here's He-Man on the battle rim. What? I've never seen this before.
And you could tell they were different.
Yeah.
You're right. Each one, it's not like it was similar to where like, do I have that? You instantly knew, oh my God, I don't have that. And you had to get it.
And between the painted artwork on the cover, the Fred Carrillo artwork inside usually, or they had the in the watercoloring ones, they would try to match it as close as they could to the Filmation designs. It's like I ate those things up as a kid because anytime I got to color anything He-Man related, it was like that was the greatest afternoon. I knew what I was doing, you know. Okay, it's either that or I'm going to play with the toys. Either way, I was happy, and it was really cool. That here's new pieces of art that I've never seen before to make my mind go even crazier with ideas for stories. And I agree, Joe, completely. Like these, it's cool that they're using what they already have established, but part of why the brand works and is the way it is for us fans is every new piece that we had growing up, it usually added another brick in the wall of the imagination that you were having of, this is how Masters looks to me, this is how Masters feels to me. And it would be really cool to add new, more intensity to the artwork and more, here's a battle sequence. Like, give me the Castle Grayskull box art to color, and I will sit there for hours and go nuts, you know, in that way, or put a puzzle of that together. That would be amazing, you know, and it's like, I agree. These, like you said, now I can't not see that. The prom shots, you know, it's like He-Man looking really awkward, not knowing if he's supposed to put his arms around Teela or not. You know? I mean, it's amusing as heck, but it's like, the static shots just aren't Masters to me. It's, you know, give me a battle sequence or give me an action sequence at least or something.
Well, like I said, I saved the biggest for last, and that is a brand new Castle Grayskull for the Origins line. Right now it is on sale. I believe they already sold out of the pre-orders at Walmart.
It's popped
but
up
it will be available all over.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe the price at Walmart was about $80.
$74.99.
I was just gonna say $74.99 or $74.97, whatever it is. That is a hell of a deal.
And then once you add on all the taxes, about $80.
Well, tax and shipping. Yeah.
Sure, now, I'll be one of the people that just tries
most
to find
times
the store.
The shipping, if you have more than $35, it's free shipping.
Yeah, I'll be one of the people that has to get in the store. I want to have that feeling of like when I was a kid again to see that. Now, the thing is, it is a fantastic price, and you're getting a Temple of Darkness Sorceress colors. And I know a lot of people were concerned. First, they were saying, well, why wouldn't you have the regular color Sorceress? And I said, you know what? I'd prefer they put this color variant because, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't flip over color variants. But when it comes to just getting the regular Sorceress, I'd rather her be carded. Because picture if the regular, normal carded Sorceress, colored Sorceress was put in that castle. And what if there's people that just didn't want to get the castle, but they knew the only way to get the Sorceress was to buy that castle? You might not have a lot of people getting, because they want a regular color. So I'm glad she's going to be single carded, because you're going to get single carded normal color Sorceress in the futures, no doubt. But you can't beat the price, because you're getting a $15 figure, you're getting the castle, you're getting a lot of accessories, but there was some questionable stuff, like things I put up and people could understand what I meant. They had multiple advertisement pieces, like a collage of stuff.
Right.
There was one, and one they did was in a good dark tone and looked like there was a scenery. It was beautiful, a beautiful piece. But then they did this one with this all bright white background and lights, nothing, in the back or nothing. And that turned a lot of people off because they said the castle looked really bright, neonish kind of green. The crescent on the door they thought looked weird. And the big catcher was the eyes. The eyes are so damn wide. So I did like this quick Photoshop thing where I kind of gave it more of like a little evil look. And just to say, I wish the eyes could have looked like this. And people said, you know what, damn it, that would look cool. Now, as long as the colors of the castle are not what that bright picture represented, because I'm hoping that was just the lighting. If it looks closer to what we've seen in that other photo, it's great. But you're getting a lot of pieces, most notably missing, which drove me nuts. It's one of my most iconic that I love, is the robot spacesuit. It's missing. Now, what I'm hoping is maybe in the future, because so many people, including me, have always wished for a figure of that robot spacesuit in figure form. So maybe that's what they're doing. At least I'm hoping, because everybody said, where's the robot spacesuit? Why is it gone? So otherwise, fantastic price. Great to get that not only to us, but hopefully a new generation if they start getting into He-Man too.
I mean, I honestly don't think that there's any plan with Mattel to make a spacesuit figure. God, I wish there was. I would love a spacesuit figure.
I think it could happen, really. I'm trying to be really optimistic. I mean, we first, they gave us, with the Classics one, you got that kind of little facade, front piece, by Joe Amato, which looked fantastic. And I made a lot of customs of them, and people liked getting that as for a custom. So I think it would, does it, what's weird? It doesn't make sense. Why would that iconic piece be gone unless they weren't going to offer it somehow in the future in some capacity? They have to, because what, you're going to replace it with that goofy bird thing? I don't know, it's like, is this a bird rack or what is this?
Spice
you
rack?
know what I'm talking about? Yeah, spice rack. Right, exactly. What the heck is that? I don't get it. Sorcerer's hangs are closed there. I don't understand it. So, but yeah, you guys go ahead with your thoughts. I mean, great price and just hopefully some things.
I know last week in the Lost episode,
Right,
we were talking about those white speckles, and at first, I thought it was going to be a reflection, but as I saw close-up pictures, they actually put in either glitter or something in the plastic mold, and that is like turning me off. That and those eyes, the front does not look correct to me.
Yeah, it's
the
off.
eyes are too big, and it's so symmetrical. Everything seems too even.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that symmetrical. Agreed. It's got to be non-symmetrical. And they definitely, like I said, I don't know if it's. I'm assuming it's probably all complete with the molds, but that's why we do these kind of things on the podcast, because you never know if there could be last-minute changes. Hopefully, listen, like maybe we could go back and change it.
I don't think so. Normally, when they start showing us packaging and all like this, it's already in production.
Yeah, I always try to be that one optimistic.
Shame.
Yeah, it is a shame.
And I would, and it goes back to this frustration of why didn't they show off the castle during PowerCon? I really feel like there's no chance for us to give input about the castle before they put it into production, and I feel that it's kind of irritating that it's kind of like, here it is, here's what you're getting.
No, you're right, David. That's the thing. I mean, it's an amazing surprise that they gave us, but you're right. Yeah. This is one I wished we could have had a little insight to, like, before final things could have been done in touches, because we don't do this to be nasty when we're critiquing. We're doing it because we want things to be better and the best they can be for Masters of the Universe. And I guarantee if they would have showed what we seen early before, like you said, final production, all fans would have said, you guys have to change those eyes. Something's wrong with the eyes. So... Well, we're still getting something good, but it's a shame.
It's been said, and I think Nate Barch, he said in an interview today or yesterday that, Mattel is listening. And I've heard this from Mattel. We're listening to the fans. We are actively keeping an ear out, for what the fans have to say. And so, I would hope that there would be some chance for a change or two. You can see that Axel and Nate, they did an amazing job of making the box art look just like the vintage castle play set, it's just gorgeous box art.
That's gorgeous.
But then when you open up the box, it's like, wait, this isn't what I paid for.
No, you're right, and that's because I mean, it could even be said like for the vintage. It could be said even for the vintage Castle Grayskull, because that was even more intense. But still, that castle, I don't know if it's just us being nostalgic. It still just did look better. But here's the thing about that box art, and I gotta say this, see, Mattel, if you're listening, make a new generation of Masters of the Universe fans love Stratos. I hated that vintage figure. I told you, and I'm gonna get to a point here. Dang it! I always say the vintage Stratos. It was my least play with. I couldn't stand him. Why? He didn't have a weapon. Now, I know you could say, hey, he flies, which, yes, I did imagine him flying, which is cool, because who wouldn't love to fly? But as a kid playing, it's like, he was boring. I would put him off to the side. He had no weapon. Now, of course, Axel depicts him. He's got to be having one of those staffs of Avion. You know, there could even be the mini comic or the one from the cartoon. And I think he's depicting the one with the mini comic on that box art. So please, Mattel, before you do the final release of Stratos, give that sucker a weapon. Make the new generation love him, please, because you know how much I love picking on Stratos. Like him in the cartoon and mini comics. But boy, do I hate that figure. You see what I'm saying? Give him a damn weapon.
Or at least in a weapon pack.
Something, but I don't want the figure to have a weapon. I want the kids to say, wow, look at that, and just give him one of the staffs. It's not that hard.
And most important, give him at least one hand that you can, put a weapon in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no open hands.
At least just one. Just Mattel, please, one hand that I can put a weapon into.
And a weapon. Give him one of those staffs, Mattel, please. Otherwise, I'm going to hate the Stratos too, but there I digress.
But the other thing I noticed, it seems like this castle is going to be very shallow.
Yes. Well,
I mean, looking at where the throne is, you can see there's barely any space in front of it. I'm wondering if they're following like the 2000X Castle Grayskull, which was very narrow.
Mm-hmm. Painfully narrow.
I honestly didn't look at that. I didn't catch that. I didn't notice how narrow it was, what you're talking about.
I think that's why it seems like it doesn't have as many accessories as the vintage had. With it being so narrow, they're thinking, okay, people are going to need a place to put these, and because the weapons rack only comes with, I believe it's 4 or 5 weapons, and I think the vintage came with 10.
So the new castle's missing the battle axe, one of the halberds, the pistol, and the shield.
But isn't the vintage one even missing the pistol? Almost everybody. That little sucker's always gone. No, I got mine too. But yeah, they're like, we're not going to make another one of those. Everybody's going to lose it. But like you said, I think what you were saying earlier about possibly like, future weapons pack, like when we're messing around with Stratos, I'm sure they'll do that for the Castle Grayskull. We'll get some kind of weapons, pack where you get the rest of those weapons. I
hope so.
I guess pros for the new Castle Grayskull, price point is pretty darn hard to beat for a playset. I mean, I'm not going to fault that, and that's awesome. The fact that there's even a Castle Grayskull coming out for the line is pretty awesome, because that obviously is like the crown jewel of Masters. That's like the heart of your collection. You got to have Castle Grayskull involved in it.
Well, it's always been part of the first wave of each of those big lines, except classics.
Well, yeah, but in general,
we did get it eventually in classics, but it wasn't with the first wave.
But just in general, the fact that they're doing it, and it's not even wave wise I'm worried about. I'm just saying, like, in general, the fact that they're making a playset in a day and age where playsets aren't usually the norm as much anymore. So they went there at least, which is great. And you have He-Man calling by the power of Grayskull. If you don't have that playset involved at all, then it's like, what the heck? Like they really should be doing that. My things about it is I don't like the symmetricalness, like Joe was saying. That drives me up the wall when I see it, and it to me that's like, I'm cool with Origins on the fact that you can bring a new generation in with it and everything else, like we talked about last week in the the Lost episode. But like you have the new generation welcoming maybe fans from their childhood who didn't know about 2000X, who didn't know about classics, and they're coming back and going, hey, I remember He-Man, this is great. But there is something mythic about that original Castle Grayskull, the vintage one, and it's it doesn't look constructed. It looks like it's just there. And
it looks organic, lifelike.
It looks organic, and that was one of the things Mark Taylor was so adamant about when they were coming up with the design of it. I've seen it in so many of these documentaries now, where he's like, I took over the tooling because they were making everything look straight, and they were making all these straight lines, and it needed to look like it was formed and just wasted away over eons and stuff. And I love that idea. And when I see this one, I'm like, this is what we would have gotten if Mark didn't get involved. And that to me is like, it hurts me to see that version, because now I look at that and I look at what I have on my shelf and I go, that still works, because there's a creepiness to that. There's this unsettlingness to that, and it makes the whole mythology richer with that look of it. This just looks it reminds me of I've seen tons of photos of people who create like resin castings and make their version of Castle Grayskull. And it reminds me of like Mattel did their own, and now they're offering it to the public. But some of the other ones to me are like, but those are more mythic looking, the original, the classics version. Some of the other ones these people have created on their own, just using their own creativity and their own hands. Those to me are like, wow, like that's making me create stories in my head. And then when I see this one, it's like, well, at least they're offering it in that way.
No, yeah. It's just too shiny and clean. Shiny.
It is. It's got that new car smell. It's got that vibe. It has
a play school look to it too. It's just not. Yeah.
Parts of it, certainly.
Wish. Yeah, parts of it. I mean, I wished it could have looked a little more evil and intense. And that's the thing. It's tough, because we still don't know when the new cartoon's coming out. And of course, I know that these figures will not look like the cartoon. But just to know when a cartoon comes out, it'll hopefully then bring the kids into the toy aisles to where they will want anything He-Man related. Because let's be honest here, all the stuff that's at the stores now, it's us adults that are going after it. Kids don't know about it. They're not going to randomly walk and want to get that, because unfortunately, not many kids are in the toy aisles these days. It's the adults buying all the stuff, which I'm going to come to one side rant, and this is nothing against anybody that has this, because many of my friends have it and I give them crap all the time. But there's the beautiful store display that we know that was in the middle of the aisles or at the end of an end cap promoting the new Origins figures at Walmart, and they're loaded up. Now, this is what I've honestly seen. When the stores have them there, and let's say they almost sell out because they're on that, end cap, and people are seeing it, then somebody can come up and say, hey, is it okay if I get that display? The figures are all gone, and they usually say, sure.
They say
a lot of people.
We're in this area anyway.
Yeah, well, the thing is, everywhere, and I'm sure you've seen it, David, all these groups I'm in and you're in, I've seen at least 30 people that have these displays. Now, some of them have went in the stores. The day they put them up, they actually, as you know, down the toy aisle, they have the section ready for Masters of the Universe where they put the figures up, but they might have been emptied. They emptied out that display piece, put them all over there, then went to the managers and said, hey, that's empty. Can I get it? Sure. Now, why does this piss me off? Because that thing that was sitting out there, when I went in the day it was finally there, it caught my attention way down an aisle before I even made it. I was like, oh, finally it's back. As I'm looking, I heard a guy yell. He ran away from his wife and kid, and he's like, "It's He-Man! It's He-Man! I haven't seen it." And it was just kind of cool. Like, you might as well knock them over. But he ran over because he's seen He-Man. He's like, "Oh my God, He-Man's back!" He's like, "Oh look, Skeletor, He-Man!" He grabbed He-Man, Skeletor, Beastman, Man-at-Arms. He didn't get Teela and Evelyn, unfortunately, but he got those four. But what was created there? A fan that probably has not known about Masters of the Universe since they were a kid. It caught his attention in a completely different eye. But now that that display is gone and those figures are just down the aisle, you're not going to catch the casual fan who would normally see that. It's only us hardcore collectors. So what's happening now? Down those damn aisles where they did that, it's flooded with He-Man and Skeletors now. Not all the stores, but a lot of the ones around here have been flooded. The ones where it was staying out from the beginning, they sold them all out, which was beautiful. But now that, and that's the other thing, I wish Mattel, I know in their head they keep saying, we have to get out the main hero and main villain for all kids to have. Okay, I understand this, but you guys got to cut back on it because we don't want to start having floodings of He-Man and Skeletors, especially when you start hitting battle armor, thunder punches, flying fists, and if they want to create 20 new versions like they did for 2000X. Please don't do that mistake again and flood these aisles. But that just pissed me off of everybody getting the display piece while it arrived on the first day. It's like, I know it's a great piece, guys, and you want it, but would you rather have that display piece and this line end within a year, or let these figures kind of sell, and then, hell, this line can go on?
I'll take the one from Mexico.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like, let the line go. I mean, do you want it done in a year, or would you rather this line go for 10 years so you can get tons of merchandise? Whereas, oh, I got the display piece in 1 year, and oops, the line was canceled. Not saying that's going to happen, but you know what I mean. It's just, I got upset with the people that emptied them, took it, and then now nobody knows about it. The casual fans that we want to bring back are gone. They don't know about it.
I fully agree, and it's unfortunate that
I wish we had the setup as we've been seeing on Facebook from Mexico.
Right, there are some
those
photos.
Are amazing. If you thought those end caps
were ones, right,
beautiful,
the ones in Mexico, is that the ones that are using the Filmation style art to promote it, or is that something else?
Yes.
There's two kinds actually, and they're stunning displays. There are displays in Mexico, and now we're seeing even fancier displays in Chile.
Chile, yeah, that's where I was seeing some. And I was even seeing to where they call it He-Man and the Masters of the Universe on the card back, and they didn't even round off the corners on the card backs. They were still straight, which was kind of weird. I was like, I've never seen nothing like that, but it's cool to see how the displays. I mean, I just love I believe it was Axel did work on the displays here in the United States, correct? That are at Walmart?
His art's featured on it. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is great. I love seeing new art, which is great, but it's just... yeah, again, so I'd hope that people could keep that in mind in the future, that just at least let the figures try to sell a while, and then maybe when it's down to, I don't know, 8 or something, because it looks like they got at least 100 or more when they would fill that display. Like when it's low, okay, maybe 8 figures left, then put them down the aisle and say, hey, could I get this display? But because I know that they'll just crush it anyways. Usually that's what they do with half that stuff. When it's time for that to be emptied, if nobody claims it, they're just going to garbage it. So, but I just wish it had more time to shine and, promote the line. So we'll see how it goes in the future. Hopefully they'll not take it that quick.
Well, I'm hoping that some, smaller stores will, that will see those nice displays that we see in Mexico and Chile, that will see something similar used in some U.S. stores, because those are incredibly impressive. And my God, that box art for the Origins Castle, I hope that we someday, and I saw a full version of that box art image, I hope that we can get that as a giant puzzle someday so that we can put it together and frame it.
Heck yeah. Hell, puzzles, posters, anything. Either of those would be great. I like that. I wish we could get a lot of that art from the past clean, because some of them have so many damn logos or something else over. It's like, man, I wish all that was off. But yeah, that would be a great puzzle, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so here, I wanted to mention the dimensions of the castle. The official Masters of the Universe page, in response to a fan's question, said that assembled, the Origins Castle is going to be 27 inches wide, and I have my vintage castle right here. The vintage castle is 26 inches. So we're losing an inch there. The Origins Castle is 18 inches high, and that matches the vintage castle, okay? And the depth is 5.5 inches on the new castle. On the old castle, I would say it's at least a little, like maybe a quarter of an inch thicker.
So we might not be losing as much space on the floor like you guys were thinking, possibly, or what?
I mean, a quarter of an inch can make a difference. I noticed that with the dungeon sticker on the vintage castle takes up a lot of real estate. It's very big and beautiful.
And that new one looks small, doesn't it?
Yes, and they turn it sideways.
Yeah, that's weird.
And not only that, I figured, I'll just take it off and put a vintage sticker on there. That won't work for 2 reasons. The vintage sticker is so much bigger, and there's a kind of a wall on the entryway that kind of sticks out into the floor space, and so the vintage sticker is not going to fit. also they dug this rectangular space into the mold of the floor to indicate where the sticker goes. And so even if you put a vintage sticker on there, it's not going to it's going to be awkward looking because part of it's not going to be stuck to the floor.
What they do? They dug an indentation? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Where the sticker is on the new castle, it's a rectangular space that's dug into the floor.
Why would they have done that? That's weird.
I don't know.
So that's why when people are assembling it, they know where to put the sticker.
That's basically it. Yeah.
The trap door.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, there goes the kid's imagination where they can put it off to the side a little bit or mess it up, There goes that because now it's going to go right in the spot. I had my flag just to let you know because I think it was, God, I couldn't remember if it was the inside instructions for Castle Grayskull, the vintage ones or what. But they had the flag going in the other way. And I did that. And everybody, when they, I think it was maybe last year, I was showing my castle and they were like, why you got your flag upside down? I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, that's how it was. And they said, nope. And they're showing me all this fun stuff. And I honestly can't remember if it was the art or the instructions, but one way showed it wrong. And I followed the wrong way. But I left it all these years the same way. I never knew that. So,
well, that makes your castle unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
You were customizing from an early age.
Yeah. Didn't even know it, Shawn.
Didn't even know it. It was innate to you. There you go.
That's right.
Well, can we agree that the flag on the new castle is tiny?
Yeah, it's small.
Yeah.
And I like that like the classics flag, it has a base. So it doesn't have that awkward sized clip like the vintage one has, but still it's just too small. I'm sure it's easy enough to replace with, to find some toy that has a flag with a base that you can just, print out a sticker for the vintage castle and slap it on there. But still, I feel like I could easily see the cost cutting measures that were taken on this castle. So the flag's too small, and especially the main weapon rack is too small. It's shrunk. You can see it in the one image next to the sorceress figure, which, by the way, is the female figures are noticeably small on the Origins line. It's brown, but it looks to me like it's like a McDonald's toy version of the real thing, because there are no pegs. It's just little tiny bumps to give the impression of pegs. And there are these little these little connector things built into the weapon rack so you can store the weapons. It's just not functional. It's like, okay, so just these weapons are to be used with this new weapon rack. And the weapons themselves, I feel like the sculpting's uninspired. I really honestly don't like the flat light gray color that they're using in these the accessories and on the top of the training weapon. I'm not a fan of that. But yeah, what do you think of the weapon rack?
I agree with you. It looks like I got it in a Happy Meal.
Exactly.
I mean, the old weapons rack with the vintage, I was able to put all my weapons on it. It had the space. This one, are they using stickers to hold the weapons on it? Because I can't see those little bumps holding on to anything.
Yeah, the bumps themselves are just to give the impression of the pegs that are there on the vintage one. But they're just tiny little bumps. What they are is what do you call them? They're these little other pieces that stick out on and grab the weapon on either side. So I feel like
is there something? I don't know. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it's really limited.
When we had the pegs, it gave it more that medieval feeling that it was ancient, and it gave you that extra room where you can put your weapons any which way you want it.
Yeah. And the shield on the side.
And the shield, my shield always fell off for some reason. But what I'm hoping is, like you were talking about the colors, I say it all the time. I'm hoping it changes by final design because that is something that does differ. I mean, how many times did we see the figures and we're like, my God, that looks amazing. Then the final piece comes out and you're like, what happened to the paints or the colors? So hopefully them listening to us now, they'll know, okay, maybe they could do some adjustments on the weapons rack or the weapons, but definitely the outside facade of the face of Castle Grayskull. I pray it is not that bizarre green that we've seen. That was just, it's not flattering. It doesn't make it look alive, evil, or nothing because obviously, like you said, the eyes aren't going to change. So you better make sure you have a good paint job. And one other thing, I hope they change the choice of the design on the crest of that green on the crest on the door of the jawbridge. I'm like, that does not look right. I was like, who chose that color? Do a gold, a silver, something rustic, but big, bright neon green. I mean, if they don't, that'll be the first time I have to change something for myself. I never customize my own stuff, but I will change that jawbridge crest. It's bizarre.
It looks like the details are so soft.
They would have done the crest in like the wood coloring. This way, it still felt older.
Right.
Or as Joe said, a rust. But that neon green, it's almost like, welcome.
It's too much. It doesn't look right. The aesthetic, it just doesn't fit. It does not fit. It looks so off. So I pray that changes. That's one thing that's a must. I mean, it's a shame we won't get a redesign of the eyes, but the paints, as you know, can make something that it can make it or break it. And I think that could really help if they just do the outside facade, like you said, possibly the weapons rack, and something to that jawbridge to make it just a little more appealing.
I feel like on the door, the details are so soft. It looks like a cartoon version or a very small child, a toddler's toy version.
Play school like it does. It has like
and exactly. And in that one photo, the one where it's all white in the background and you see the full colored playset. It honestly, I know it's kind of a prototype, but it looks like, it makes it look like the door is made out of chocolate or something. Like it's so, the colors are so weird, bright and neon and it just looks so odd.
This castle looks delicious.
Yeah.
Open it up and the Easter Bunny's on the other side.
That's it. Everybody's chewing on their door. Don't know what's going on. Like,
I don't want to get inside. I just want to chew on the door.
Right.
I've got the munchies.
One other bit of detail that's missing from the facade of the face of the castle is there is no wood pattern. So on the vintage castle, the
around
column,
the parts that go around the eyes or around even the windows, there's no kind of wood. I didn't notice that.
Yeah. So on the vintage castle, under the window, there's the two slats and then there's the shelf.
I know. I've sculpted it a lot.
Yeah. And so now it's clearly just made of stone on the Origins version, and the slats underneath that are flat, and the slats under the dome right above the eyes, those are flat, whereas they're a nice wood on the vintage castle.
Yeah, I love the wood. I love the wood design. Yeah, that's a shame. That's a shame.
A lot of us are going to be going to eBay to get the vintage castle for next generation and doing a mashup. Taking the accessories and the box art from the new castle and using the vintage castle.
Well, that's when Origins was announced. That was one of the things. It's like if they're that close to the original sizes, other than offering a whole bunch of stuff that maybe the Classics version had, it's hard for me to justify going, oh, this is a must-have in that way, And everything we're talking about, it's like I'm just looking at my Grayskull on the shelf, going, yeah, you already got that. I'm good. And I'm not the biggest collector of the Origins line to begin with, so that it's not aimed at me in that way. But I'm, it's like there's so many things where it feels like it's almost there with that, and to me it's like, but they've already managed to do it 2 times now in my lifetime with vintage and classics, and then it's like the even numbered one. It's almost like Star Trek movies, except the opposite way. It's like the even numbered ones don't work, but the odd ones do for me in this case. It's like, there you go.
Because the 2000X didn't feel right either to me.
No, I never liked the like when I saw that on the store shelves back in like 2002, I remember just going, no, because I didn't like that. That one felt symmetrical. It felt like, here's a construction crew creating a Castle Grayskull. It's like, no. The original's the way that I love it. It's got that. It's the mysterious, it's the epicness, it's the mythos version of it. You know, The other one just felt like, here is a regimented, structured. We had people build this. Now this is our home. You know, it's like, okay, and it felt like a development version of Castle Grayskull to me. Versus here's this like weird, crazy person in the woods building this castle. You know, or.
Not many people talk about that 2000X one, because you're right. I mean, when it first came out, I had to get everything because I was a completist.
Yeah.
I was a ticky. I had to get it all, but I was like, that sure sucked. I remember, like, I barely wanted to do anything. I was like, God, I hate the design of this. And I don't see any people like, man, look at my 2000X Castle Grayskull. Isn't it great? That
exactly.
Usually it doesn't happen. They love the vintage one. They love the classics one. And you know what? This one could have the love. The Origins could have the love. I'm just saying they could save it with the paint scheme and their price point. You got to give it to them. I mean, if you're getting a $15 figure with it and it's a $74 set, so you're figuring, okay, $60 for the set.
Yeah.
You are getting a lot. It's a hell of a deal. It's a beautiful box art, which, you know, people, if we don't get a puzzle and we don't get a poster, they're going to try to save that. And we've seen people even cut boxes and try to frame that art. So, I mean, you're getting one hell of a deal. They're doing a great deal with the vehicles, the beasts, the steeds. I mean, you are getting great price points. I got to definitely give them that, because they could have just jacked that up. They could have said $100 for Castle Grayskull, but they didn't. And $74, it's a very good
with
price.
With a figure,
Yeah, with a figure. That's what I mean. It's a bonus. It's like, damn, and a figure. So, yeah.
Here's the thing, though, in that mindset to me, though. It's like, okay, when we were kids, I forget what was it, 50 to $60 when we were kids, or was it lower than that?
$49.99.
$49. Okay, because I didn't buy it. I got it for Christmas. My parents spoiled me with that the year it came out, and I remember that was like the biggest, coolest present I got up to that point in my life. And even after that, that was still like Castle Grayskull. That was one of the best presents I ever got. But it's like, when you think of it in numbers, it works on a business perspective. But when it comes to fans, there's the not only the emotional attachment, the nostalgic attachment, but the imagination attachment. And that's the thing that I feel like they put out that video even recently showing, here's He-Man going into Castle Grayskull, and then Skeletor comes around the side and goes into Castle Grayskull, and it's like, who played like that? Hey,
Shawn, I got to say something about that, because what's funny is I watched that commercial, which it was cool, but I was like, what the hell are they hopping for? But then it clicked in my head. It's supposed to be us as kids holding the figures and how you move them, like, dum, 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 dum. I was like, oh, now I get it. Because before Joe Me Nuts, I was like, why are they hopping like rabbits? This is stupid. But I get it.
There is this element to the line all across the board for me of it's corporate. And I hate saying that, because I don't feel like Masters out of any brand out there is corporate, because it's been dormant. It's been something the fans have been keeping alive, and Mattel's just grudgingly going with us. And now all of a sudden they're like, oh, we got an IP people like. Holy crap. It's like, yeah, thanks. We've been here all along, thanks, guys. But there is this element when I look at this, the whole line, I'm like, I hate saying it, I don't want to say it where Scott said it, where it's a spreadsheet brand, but there is this feeling to this where it feels more corporate this time around, and the people that are involved they're worried about the numbers. So that's why we're getting a $75 Castle Grayskull. We're getting a $30 vehicle Prince Adam play, the Sky Sled and all that stuff. And it's like, that's great on the budget. That's great on the wallet. But there's an element that just feels like it's not made by hand by people who are dreaming these crazy dreams of what a war on Eternia looks like, what a battle on Eternia feels like. And it's like, I'm always that guy on this show, but I'll be it here again. I'm just going to say, that's the thing. It's like, when I was a kid and I looked at that box art, it took me completely off of Earth, and it took me into this whole other place that my mind never left. I might have grown up, but my mind, there's always been a part of me still on Eternia, watching that battle for Castle Grayskull that Rudy Obrero painted, And when I see the stuff here, it almost feels like it's almost there, but it's just here's people that it's almost like you go to the brand manager, who I don't know the brand manager's name or anything, but you go to him and go, what's your take on Castle Grayskull? It's a playset. It needs to be in the line. Okay. What do you think of Castle Grayskull itself? And then he just goes, well, that's what He-Man talked about. By the power. Okay, but what does it mean to you? And you're getting like the base answer. You're not getting him getting into, it meant this to me. It felt this. There's that element here of, it doesn't have that to the line for me, I guess. And
yeah, I hope that people do get the magic, because I know what you mean. It's like somehow it feels like they lost the magic and the understanding of Masters of the Universe. From the figures to, like you said, the box art, though, they did a hell of a job on the box art. That can suck the kids in, no doubt. The mini comics. Oh, I'm sorry. Just one more quick thing. The mini comics. Sure. I think they're faltering on that. They got to understand the mini comics are as important to this line as the figures were, because those is what sucked in again the imagination of kids.
Exactly.
And that 6-page thing did absolutely nothing. And I'm going to say it right now, by them putting Mia in that damn mini comic enraged me. I was like, do you guys understand Skeletor in the history of that cartoon and in any of the comics and books back then never said Mia? They make it sound like he's like, all right, Beast Man, yeah, we're going to do this, yeah. It's like, no, never said this. And you
like
put
he's
that
a gangster.
In there, right, like a gangster. You made a stupid meme canon now. It's like, so you obviously don't get the magic of this brand. But the other thing is, if they're to do real commercials, the thing we seen online was fun, but let the kids do it and live it and feel it like we did. Because I'll tell you what, those little suckers back in the day, they really took those roles seriously. Like that little kid that played Skeletor and made the face as he's shaking them and doing the He-Man commercials. They did great. Let these kids capture the imaginations of kids again, because us as kids, we were feeling it. We were into the toys, but those kids looked like they were having the time of their life using their imaginations, trying to become these characters they're playing with.
Sure, I bet those kids, you had to like pull them away from the toys, because it was like, we're done filming. They're like, well, we're not done. Like we gotta fight this more.
Yeah.
And just to follow up, no, like Axel and Nate and anyone else associated with the artwork for the package art have knocked this thing out of the park. And they really are truly channeling what the feeling of that line has to be, because that is what they get it. And these are fans who are able to do that and put it out there for the next generation. And that's one of the things that it's got me about the line. I'm like, I support that no matter what. I love the fact that they're involved with it. And it's like, the lack of the 4 horsemen in this case, it's like, at least we have Nate and we got Axel doing this stuff too.
Doing the
That's
artwork.
At least, doing the artwork, where it's like, it's bringing that feeling that I want to see. And that's the other thing too. When you look at the Castle Grayskull box art, that's the vintage. Like when you look at how they get it, they get it. They get it. And
they get it. And it's like the people that it's not knocking anybody making the figures or the big wigs behind the scenes doing all the other stuff, but they need the same kind of magic for people that are creating the figures, creating the vehicles, the castle, anything to do with that in the mini comics. They need those same type of fans with that passion, or at least understanding. And if those fans obviously aren't the ones that are working and sculpting on it, maybe they can whisper in the ears then of the people who are doing it, making the sculpting, like, okay, what do you think should be changed about this? Like, get some real input from some real fans and passionate fans to make it as great as it can be. Because you're right, when it came to the art, Axel knows Masters. I mean, we all know, we all talk to him. He knows how great something should be. He feels the essence of Masters of the Universe along with Nate. They get it. And that's why that is so damn beautiful. And that will be an iconic piece of art that 30 years from now, people could still love and just appreciate. But when there's flat stuff that nobody will care about, it's like there's some piece of art you're like, oh, cool. But they're not in 30 years going to be like, damn, that's great. You're still 30 years from now going to love that piece that Axel and Nate did. It's that good.
Yeah.
Agreed.
The same people that designed the Origins Castle should be the same people that designed the Classics Castle. Nate Barch, Joe Amato, the 4 Horsemen. And I really do feel that, Robert Rudman, he's doing a fantastic job with the very limited space that he has to work with on the mini comics. I really feel that kind of like the Eternia playset. This new playset should have come with a full, like, 22-page deluxe mini comic.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been a huge help, a great joy for collectors of all ages, because, as others have said, like, the comics are just as important as the toy.
Definitely, and that's one of those things that I was saying. They almost have it, and in that case, we get mini comics. I love the fact that they're not shying away from that was something that made the brand special. But then when you see the mini comic and what they did with it, there is that like, oh, it's almost so, and the fact that it's one through the whole wave, that was like, why? Like, why people are going to throw these things out?
It's really annoying. I've got a huge pile of that Wave 1 mini comic. It's like, okay, great. Can we get another one, please?
Exactly.
Hey, we got the cover with the googly eyes, or we got the regular one.
Yeah.
But, you're right. It's like, I got so many, it's like you want to use them for kindling. Like, I don't care now. One stupid 6-page nothing that isn't even really a story that you're like, damn, that's great, or something you can remember. It's like, well, what the hell was that about? Or just, there's nothing to it. It's like, 6 pages of nothing. It's like, I didn't care what was going on. It didn't feel like, wow, something really intense is going on here. Well, it was just bland and boring and forgettable, unfortunately.
It's certainly literally nothing when it's the international version and it has literally no text in it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a joke.
Hey, you know what's... David, I'm sorry, Kelly, go ahead.
I was going to say, I wish, at least for this first one that went with Origins, they should look at the original mini comics, because we're introducing this to a brand new generation, and that mini comic really didn't give us who these characters are.
That's what I was going to say too. That's exactly what I was going to say. If you're trying to introduce this to children, it should have been, here's He-Man's book. Here's Skeletor's, and give us at least like, okay, Prince Adam gets the sword in that issue, and he becomes He-Man for the first. So they could have riffed off of the box art for San Diego Comic-Con or PowerCon. I think what was it? San Diego Comic-Con for the Prince Adam He-Man 2. Okay, San Diego Comic-Con. They could have riffed off that and just done like 1 or 2 pages extra to have like, here's the battle between He-Man and Skeletor at the end then. Or something, and then do something similar with it. Okay, Keldor becomes Skeletor if they're going that route with this version.
Oh, sweet again. Jesus, don't give them any ideas. I'm tired. I'm sick of that. We need to have Skeletor from another dimension.
Here's the thing. They are bringing the Keldor figure, though.
I know, but God, I want to shove it. I want it out of their heads. I want them to quit. Like, okay, guys, now Mattel, you scratch that damn idea, and you just bring us that evil sucker from another dimension that wants to conquer the whole universe, that's went to other worlds, and now he's on Eternia. He knows this is the greatest source of power to control everything. This is what he wants. That's what we need. Just evil now. Oh, the poor guy, and he's King Grandor's brother. Oh no.
I actually kind of dig personally Keldor in my Age of Wonder canon. The mini comics that I'm producing. He shows up from basically another dimension, but he starts out as Keldor. And there's a lot of fun. There are a lot of fun things you can do with Skeletor's origin like that. And I really dig that. Instead of being given the Keldor 2-pack in Origins as an expensive Comic-Con exclusive that we have to stress over and buy on eBay and all that stuff, we're getting it at retail for a very reasonable price. I think that's a huge win, frankly.
And I want to bring up something, David, what you said. You earlier were saying that, like those international fans for the mini comics got no text at all. Now, here's the unfortunate thing. This is something, like I said, that almost everybody knows, and including we interviewed Larry Houston years ago. The thing is, if you take away all the text in the comic, you don't know what is going on. Like, what is happening here? You're supposed to be able to tell a story through art as well. That's how Larry Houston was always taught, and almost all artists, but that's the thing. Look at the comics that Larry Houston did back in the day. By the way, Larry Houston worked on and drew more mini comics for Masters of the Universe than any artist back then. But he gets it. I mean, like Clash of Arms is probably the greatest mini comic back then for Masters of the Universe. Look at that story, read it, and even without reading it, you could still feel the emotion. Sure. And if somebody should return, you're talking about returning with the power of Masters of the Universe, bring back Larry Houston. Let him work on some new comics, because I guaranteed he would bring us back that magic. again, the magic that's missing in the mini comics, he would give it to us, because whether you're reading it or looking at it, you know what's going on. Especially picture if we finally get a Geldor figure in this style of Origins. Why not have Larry Houston draw for, the mini comic, and it could introduce Geldor? We need more mini comics, but it's my campaign. It's something I'd love to see. Bring back Larry Houston. He's one of the most amazing artists that worked on the brand.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Just going from what you're saying, I mean, as a comic book artist, that's usually the intent, is the picture should be capable. You don't need a dialogue balloon or narrative balloon or whatever to describe what's happening. The story should be on the page that way. And that was the thing about the mini comics when I was a kid. I mean, the line came out when I just hit 4. So, for me, I'm just in the very beginning stages of knowing certain words, even when I'm looking at a page at that age. But I could still tell what these stories were about, just from the way that the characters, the way the posturing of the characters were, the actions you see them doing on the page continuously. And He-Man stopping Skeletor. Okay, He-Man good, Skeletor bad. I understand this. And Skeletor wants this. That's not a good thing for him to get. He wants in Castle Grayskull. No good. Let's not have him get in there and all that.
I'll admit, Shawn, one thing I will say, Shawn, not to cut you off, I'll admit one thing. As amazing as the art was for the first 4 mini comics, they were the most convoluted, confusing things going on, because they were storybooks and not comic books. So you had one page, tons of text. And also, if you look, it would go against what was going on. Wait a second, He-Man had his harness. Wait, it's gone. Now it's there. Now it's gone. And then sometimes they said he did get it back, but then it wasn't there when he was supposed to get it back. It's I don't know what's going on. So you definitely couldn't tell the story of those first 4 mini comics just by reading. You'd be lost. You needed the text there. But moving forward with the actual comic style ones, those are the ones you could look and say, okay, I kind of see what's going on here, even without text.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Those, I look at it for, that was the feel. That was when you look at that, it's here's what Eternia looks and feels like when you see those images. Alcala really did an amazing job of setting the stage in that way. But then when you get into the Mark Texeira mini comics, and like you said, the Larry Houston ones, there is that feeling of, what's happening. You don't need to read it. Okay, this is happening, therefore He-Man has to stop it, or whatever. Or He-Man's on a quest to do this, or meeting Ram-Man, finding out, okay, at the beginning of the story, Ram-Man's pissed at He-Man, and they're at odds. And then by the end of the story, they're shaking hands and they're smiling because He-Man actually helps Ram-Man at the end, and they defeat Skeletor, or Skeletor runs away at least. And there's that feeling, when I was a kid, I'd look at that and I'd go, I don't know what they're saying, but I get it from what's happening here, and it worked. It worked wonders. And, certain characters like Triclops, it's Triclops. I wasn't reading that, but I was looking through it just going, how cool is this guy? When I was a kid, Triclops and Trapjaw just captivated me, because those 2 books in particular just took me away, going there's these 2 new guys and they're freaking great. These are cool guys, and the way they started them versus what we got in Filmation is, this is how they are to most people. But it's I like that Triclops was a bounty hunter. I like that Trapjaw was actually an interstellar criminal. I love that. That was great. Oh, yeah. So, but I agree completely. I think you should storm Mattel's offices and just sit down for a whole afternoon. And just go.
You want me to do one of my rage rants? You want my rage rant to help?
You are hitting all of my happy places when it comes to the stuff that I want to see versus what we're given. It's
see, you get it. I'm hitting your happy places, even if I sound angry, which I'm not. I always say I'm not angry. I'm passionate, but I try to hit the happy places. I like that. That's a good point.
And it's because you care, though. That's the thing. It's I don't look at this as you're angry and you're just raging for rage's sake. You care. It's a brand that matters to you, just like it matters to we wouldn't be doing this podcast if we didn't care.
I always say that if I didn't care, I wouldn't say nothing. But the reason I say everything I do is because I want it to, like I said, Masters of the Universe to be as great as it used to be. Will it be? Not quite sure, but it would be nice to give a whole new generation that kind of feeling we had. Plus, still, to us too, because we are the fans that have been keeping it live for over 30 years through all the forums, the websites, everything we do, and all, buying all the products. And it would be nice to have a new generation of fans. So if anything, to get them away from their tablets, their computers, their phones for just a couple minutes, hopefully, and just let them feel what we used to feel, it'd be great. Because it's hard to do these days, so you got to do something great to bring them in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank Joe for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
I appreciate you having me. It was fantastic. I loved it, and hope I didn't get too nuts, but it was really fun, and I thank you for having me on, definitely.
Well, we can always catch you on Fans of Power.
Yeah, whenever we return, it's been like 6 weeks, but no, seriously, it's because Nathan moved, and he is in an area where they don't have the internet access, so he's got to get these cables dug under there, and it's not as quick as you'd think something should be, so it's taken a while. So we'll be back, but Nathan's still got to get his cables in, so we'll be back soon.
Soon, I hope. Yeah.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
I'd like to thank you for joining us today for this episode of Council of the First Ones. Please make sure to check out He-Man.org for all your up-to-the-minute He-Man related news. And keep your eyes open in the toy aisles. Mattel is shipping Masters of the Universe. I have seen it in my local Walmart finally, but it did sell out very quickly. And until next time, this is Kelly wishing you a good journey.
This is David Clark, owner of AdultCollector.org. It was great catching up with everybody about the latest news today. I would encourage everyone to join the 15,000-member Origins fans group on Facebook and to check out AdultCollector.org's videos on YouTube. I'll see you all again soon.
And this is Shawn. Thanks again for having me on. Always good to talk shop with everybody. And if you want to talk more He-Man stuff with me and Matthew Dooch, we have another podcast, Legends of Grayskull. We talk about the history, mystery, magic, and myth of Masters of the Universe. Go over the episodes and stories. So until next time, good journey.
If you liked what you heard, please remember to subscribe to stay up to date with all of our podcasts. Like this video and hit the bell to be notified when we upload new content. This has been a production of Nerds on the Couch. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter in association with AdultCollector.org. You can find them on Facebook. Good journey.